I have been asked lots of questions about my own sobriety from alcohol. Why I gave up alcohol, how I gave up alcohol, and how I managed other people. So I am not an addiction coach. I don't claim to help people with addiction in any way, shape, or form. I am a mindset coach. I help people change the way that they think, change the habits that they are operating in so that they can change the way that they feel and act so that they can manifest in different results for themselves. That is what I do. So sobriety isn't part of my course. It's not part of how I help people. But I have used many of the mindset techniques that I do teach people to help me in my own journey to sobriety. And after this blog was published yesterday, I just had a flood of people messaging me saying, you know, you mentioned your own sobriety from alcohol in the blog. How did you do that? So to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. I've got a little bit of a tight butt moment around this. I feel a bit not unqualified to speak about it, but please, this is in no way, shape, or form medical advice. Like, I'm just going to do this particular live today in response to people wanting to know about my own journey, in the hope that it can inspire a couple of other people out there to make some changes, either big or small. And sometimes it's the small changes that create big results in life. 96 to 98% of what we do is on autopilot. It's habit, including the way that we think, including the way that we dress, including the way that we fuck, including the way that we take a shit in the morning, including the way that we feel, including the way that we rock up, including the way we react to other people, including the habits that we get into in terms of our own health, in terms of what we consume or don't consume, the business success we have, the way that we spend our money. And so what I do is I help people change the habit. And the moment you change the habit, you can change your result. And some people call that manifestation. I kind of have shied away from that word recently because I see lots of people selling manifestation as a magic pill. It's not. Manifestation is work. No one really wants to talk about that because in marketing, they teach you to sell easy shit. Do my 5-step formula and your life will transform immediately. And the thing is, most of the stuff that I teach is really fucking simple. It's just that it's not always easy to do. And so habit forming is, it's not necessarily about doing the big, massive, huge things. It's about doing the small things regularly until they become ingrained in your unconscious mind so that they then become your autopilot. Then you change another habit, then you change another habit. It's the 1% that you do on a daily basis that is going to make up the 100% of your future. In that context, I feel qualified to talk about sobriety, and in that context, and because it's my own personal experience, I'm obviously qualified to talk about my own journey. But this is not, I'm not AA. So let me just put that there. The first bit, I suppose, is really recognizing that I had a problem with booze. So I've always been a really heavy drinker. Fucking loves the party. Loves the party. I recognize that the drinking that used to be really social had become something that I was doing on my own. And by this time, I'd, started my own sort of 6-figure business, coaching business. So I was beginning to see that there was significance to be had in ways of contribution and in ways of helping other people. And I was beginning to feel much better about who I was and the reason I was fucking here. And I was beginning to feel, much more self-worth and self-esteem. But I was still drinking really heavily. And I'd consciously noticed that, that drinking was, I'm going to sit at home on a Tuesday night and write a blog, but I'll do it with a bottle of wine and I'll just have a glass. But then the bottle's empty by 8:30. And because I bought 2 for $30 from Celebrations, because that makes financial sense, I would crack open the second bottle. And then I'd wake up the next morning and I'd realize that both bottles were empty in the recycling bin. And I would take those bottles to the recycling bin before my housemate woke up because I didn't want her to know. And I carried on doing that for a fair few months, really. And I think I knew it was a problem, but I was justifying it with, your mum's just died. My partner at the time had just left me. It felt like, life was hard. It was a hard bit of my life. And so I was justifying it. You know, it's like, well, this isn't going to be forever, but right now, you know, no one would blame you for having a glass of wine on a Wednesday afternoon by yourself at 3 o'clock. That was the voice inside my head, the elegant excuses. It was, you know, alcoholism it has a beautiful fucking elegant narrative. I could justify every drink I had. We've all got three lots of resources available to us: time, money, and energy. Alcohol was taking all three of those resources and giving me nothing back. I wasn't getting anything back from it. My impression of what an alcoholic was so fucking whacked out that I couldn't see myself as that. I haven't lost my home yet. I haven't offended my friends yet. I haven't crashed a car yet. And all these yets kept coming. I was like, that's not me yet. I'm not that bad yet. I can keep going like this. Like, it's like saying, well, you know, actually, if I eat a piece of cake today, I'm not going to see a massive results on the scale. I'm not going to suddenly not be able to do my trousers up because I've eaten one piece of cake. But if I eat a piece of cake every day, it's so incremental. You don't notice it. You don't see it. But the result will be that actually by the end of the year, I'll be morbidly obese and I'll have type 2 diabetes, right? But if I eat one piece of cake today, it's probably not going to make it as a drop in the ocean. But it's all the drops in the ocean that make up the ocean. And so, you know, having one drink today wasn't going to kill me. But having one drink today, tomorrow, the day after, the day after, the day after, the day after, in 10 years' time, that shit can kill me. So, you know, my definition of an alcoholic was somebody who'd lost all their friends, they'd lost their job, they'd probably crashed a car, they'd had their driving license taken away, potentially they'd served time in prison. And I was here with my lovely house, with my lovely friends, with my lovely job, with my lovely clients. You know, I wasn't any of those sort of classic things, and yet I couldn't not drink alcohol. So I had to get my head around that identity, I think. No one would have looked at me and gone like, Emily's clearly an alcoholic. No one would have looked at me and said that. It's just that I knew I had a dependency on alcohol because I was managing my state. I was numbing out hard feelings. I was losing chunks of time. And when I tried to give up, I couldn't. I'm a huge believer in time travel. Stay with me. That fucking crazy bitch. What you smoking, fool? I'm a huge believer in time travel. I do it with my clients all the time. Like, I'm always asking them, who do you want to be? Not what are you doing now. The habits that you have in place now are creating the results that you have right now, and therefore you are living in the reality that you have right now. And I think, you know, I time traveled in my mind. I was like, who do I want to be? What do I want to create? Who do I want to help? And that was not conducive with the person that I was being in that moment. So that's kind of how I came to the point of recognizing that I had a problem with alcohol. It wasn't destructive yet, but I'm not going to wait for it to be destructive before I change my habit. I'm not going to wait until I've got type 2 diabetes to start eating healthily. And most people do, because the habit changing isn't always comfortable. And we lack patience. We're looking for instant gratification. It's easier to sink into a bottle of wine than it is to sit with a hard emotion. I'm not going to deny that. But you've got to start thinking long-term, not fucking short-term. The how, for me, it is about continuously connecting to the life that I know that I am going to manifest because I'm being the person that has that life. What do you want to change? And then look at that area of your life, the results that you are getting, and then work back from that. Like, what habits do you have in place? What behaviors, what thoughts, what emotions, what beliefs, what fears? And, you know, then you need to start projecting into a future where your reality is as you want it. And you need to start thinking, okay, what does that person do? What does that version of me do? What does she think? What does she feel? How does she act? What habits does she have in place? What morning routine does she have in place? How often does she go to the gym? What food does she eat? What food does she avoid? What conversations does she have? And then instead of waiting to be her, waiting for your reality to take you to her, you need to take her and make her who you are today so that your reality can fall in line. So for me, it's about every single day connecting to the person that already has the life that I want, has the money in the bank, has the partner by her side, has the book deals, has the #1 New York Times bestseller. You know, I connect to her every day, and I don't think what does she do, because what she does is fucking phenomenally scary. But I think about who does she be? Like what tiny things would she do today to get herself there? And I've used that in business, and I use it in my personal life. I just use it all the time. You know, who do you want to be? Ask yourself that question on a regular basis. Now, change isn't always comfortable, but it's always worth it. So I connect to her all the time. I have a clear goal, a clear vision of how I want my life to be. And the other thing that I do is I constantly engage with support groups who are designed to help in this particular circumstance. So for me, it's AA. I know there's all sorts of other support groups out there. Like I said, I'm not an addiction coach. I know there are addiction coaches out there. I know people who've had really great success with various NLP techniques and hypnosis techniques. You know, I think there is probably a difference between people who are, you know, in the habit of drinking alcohol, and then people who are like chemically addicted to drinking alcohol. And then I think the third thing that I do is every single fucking great, amazing thing that happens in my life, big or small, I actively tell myself as a result of me not drinking alcohol. So when I sign a new client, that's because I'm not drinking alcohol. When I wake up in the morning and I don't have anxiety or that foggy feeling or that feeling like a skunk has just shat in my mouth, that is a result of not drinking alcohol. When I get a really good night's sleep, it's a result of not drinking alcohol. When I look at my skin and it's clear, it's a result of not drinking alcohol. Anything that you focus on in this world will grow. So if you want to focus on what you are losing, that is where your reality will sit. I focus on what I'm gaining all of the time. And that is a habit that I have formed by continual repetition. I want to talk really quickly about how you deal with other people in addiction. Why are you drinking? Why are you drinking? Why are you drinking? The thing is, if you're like, oh, I'm really trying really hard not to drink, oh, I'm trying really hard, oh, go, and then, whereas actually, if you turn around and you're like, nah, done, thanks. Oh, no, go on, no, I told you I'm not having another glass of wine. You don't need to be a dick about it. But I think if you lead with certainty, when people say to me, hey, you know, why don't you just have a drink? My answer is, because I'm an AA, shuts them the fuck up really quickly. You just turn around and like, because I'm an addict. Like, stop trying to push that shit on me, man. Like, having the identity for me, again, I can only talk about myself. For me, having the identity as an alcoholic was really hard because I had to reframe what an alcoholic was in my mind. But it's given me the identity to be able to say no and to be able to continually be of the person who doesn't drink. I think if I didn't have the identity of alcoholic, I would be back to my old drinking habits by now, for sure. But also it means that, you know, my mates aren't saying, hey, have a glass of wine. Do you know you haven't drunk for 8 months? Come on, come and have a glass of wine with me. They're not doing that because I'm like, dude, I'm an AA. Fuck no. The second thing is, if you are surrounding yourself with people who continue to push you, you're hanging out with the wrong fucking people. And I think, you know, it's really easy for us to quantify what we're going to give up. It's really hard for us to imagine what we're going to gain. And I see this quite a lot in sort of some of the circles, which is that, you know, when we change the identity of who we are, when we change the habit on a continual basis by creating a new and different habit, you know, part of that might be that our external representational landscape changes, and that might mean that maybe we don't hang out with the same sorts of people anymore. Now, we can see how not having 15 people to hang out with on a Saturday night, even though you're just going to get blind drunk and not remember what each other said, getting a kebab on the way home, waking up with a dirty hangover, that's all we know. So we don't know what it's going to look, we can't necessarily see what it's going to look like when we're not doing that. So all we're concentrating on is what we're giving up. Well, if I don't go out drinking with my mates, when am I going to see my mates? How am I going to bond with my mates? How am I going to talk to my mates? Right? And so what we're looking at is what we're giving up, and we can quantify that. What we fail to do is give ourselves the gift of going, what might be possible on the other side for us? Fear and faith are both in your imagination. So which one are you going to choose? And I think a lot of the time we fear what we're going to lose. we don't have faith in what we might be able to gain. But it takes the same amount of imagination, it takes the same amount of daydreaming, it takes the same amount of fantasizing, it takes the same amount of brain power, it takes the same amount of energy, it takes the same amount of time to concentrate on your fear of loss as it does on your faith of gain. So just shift that focus. What can you gain? It's just the way it is. I would truly, truly, truly love some company, but if I don't have any, I'll just talk to myself. And if I don't say hello, it's not because I'm a dick. Once my mouth starts opening, shit comes out, and let me start that again because it was really waffly. If you haven't read the article, all good, or the blog, the article. God, I'm on fire today. I don't know where the fucking word article is coming from. Article, it's a fucking blog. I want to punch someone in the face, but I recognize that's probably not a good idea. Okay, so now, really quickly, I've just realized I've been talking for about 17 hours. Awkward bit where she tries to end a video.